Hello and welcome to TV Enthusiast discussion of Hannibal. This is our first episode discussing Hannibal. We are going to call this segment Dinner with Hannibal. Now, we're not actually eating as we're discussing this, but just to stay on topic, I'll say I had a Baja citrus chicken with rice on a tortilla and some sour cream. That was my dinner tonight. Will, what did you have for dinner?
I had chicken livers with onions and mushrooms and a glass of grape soda. So I was just missing the fava beans. So I drank it out like this cup. So you can pretend it was Chianti. And you can pretend the chicken livers was chicken and not my neighbor.
Okay, so we're probably gonna have some fun with this. I've been kind of struggling trying to figure out something I could do that's economical and you know, I'd have enough time where we could really kind of play with the fun of Hannibal with food. But this time we're just, you know, we had a little fun joking around at the top, and then we're just going to discuss the episode. Maybe in some future installment, Dinner with Hannibal will have another feature that will become enjoyable.
Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, we'll have to see. But for now, we're going to talk about the first episode of season 3 of a Brian Fuller show, something we never thought was going to happen.
What? That's crazy.
Season 3 of Hannibal. The title episode is called Antipasto. If you are, you know, a little bit savvy about the names of episodes with Hannibal, the first season, it was all French cuisines. Everything was named after French cuisines. The second season, it was all Japanese cuisine. This season seems to be Italian. So we're starting off with Antipasto. That's the first episode of Hannibal, and it answered all of our questions from the cliffhanger from last season, except none of them.
Except none of them.
This episode focused on Hannibal, and yeah, and what's her name? Bella. What's her name? No, it's not Bella. It's
I have to do
Bedelia.
Bedelia.
So this episode focused on Hannibal and Bedelia and their exploits in Florence. I think I talked about this both to you, and I think I did on maybe on our DC TVU talk. I mentioned that that opening shot, that sums up Hannibal to me. It's like there wasn't even anything going on, and it was still riveting.
Yeah, nothing was happening. It was like, wow. It reminded me. It's like how much this is on another level.
Yeah.
And it was like, I am not watching a network television show. I am, but I'm not. I'm like, this is impossible that this is NBC. You know, it's like what I kept thinking. And I was
Hey,
like,
Will. Hey, Will.
Mm-hmm.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir. Yeah, right. Bonsoir.
So, this episode, it focused on Hannibal. Honestly, I think those are probably my favorite episodes, are the ones that focus on him.
Oh, they did, yeah.
Because God, he's just Lucifer. I mean, that's who he is, you know?
When you said it, yeah, he's just the devil.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the show has already alluded to that. You know, when you see like Hannibal's true form, his beastly form,
His stag form, yeah.
Yeah, it was like that is the implication that Hannibal is the devil, and he fits the part to a T. And
yeah,
you could clearly see in this episode that he has a clear mind about what he's doing. He's not conflicted about it. He just, you know, his conscience is clear. He just does what he does.
I think one of my favorite lines in this episode was in the flashback scene, one of the flashback scenes, where he's talking to Eddie Izzard's character, and Eddie Izzard talks about the cannibalism that's going on, and Hannibal says, "It's only cannibalism if we're on the same level."
Yeah, exactly. So being that he doesn't, that was the most interesting thing because we got a little peek into how Hannibal thinks about what he does, and
he's a whole other species.
he does not consider himself a cannibal.
Yeah,
you know. So even though like he is a cannibal, they label him a cannibal. He does not personally think of himself as a cannibal because he thinks he is above those that he is eating.
We've seen bits of that before. In like the first season, they mentioned, that he sees people like pigs, like swine, and it's always been kind of there. But it was great to just hear it from his own lips.
Yeah,
this is how he thinks. That he thinks, I'm, you humans are beneath me, even though he's human, but I mean, he doesn't even think of himself that way. So it was really fascinating. Their conversations through the whole episode were fascinating.
Yeah,
the best parts of the episode.
I was glad to see Eddie Izzard return as Abel Gideon, and we got more time spent with, because that was like really interesting. How like the interactions that Hannibal had with him in that scene, which obviously took place during season 2, when Hannibal had kidnapped him and cut off his legs and was slowly
served him his own leg.
Served him his own leg.
There are a lot of great lines in this episode. I mean, especially tying into that flashback when Hannibal showed that one of the legs was still hanging with snails crawling on it. And he was saying that, he made the snails taste better, which in turn he served to Gideon, which made him taste better.
Yeah. And then we learn snails, acorns, something else. It's like, that's what Romans would feed pigs to make them taste better.
And that's what he's been feeding Bedelia. So.
That's what he's been feeding Bedelia. So seems like he's preparing her.
Either that, or I think that it's almost like he just enjoys the fact that he knows he's feeding her that, like right. It doesn't even necessarily mean he plans to eat her. It just means that like he's treating her like his livestock.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that that's what was interesting about, that kind of revelation, that moment. With his next victim, who we see in a rather ghastly form at the end of the episode, which plays into the second episode when we discuss that later, sometime this weekend or something. We'll talk about episode 2, but you get to see more about that crime.
Oh yes.
And that was a pretty horrific crime scene when you actually kind of see the full details of it. But sticking to this episode, yeah, it's like you said, a whole other level. It's just beautifully put together, just so amazingly shot and put together. The scene.
We got the flashback with Bedelia when she murdered her patient.
Did you notice who that was?
I recognized him, but I couldn't for the life of me remember who it was.
It's what's his name? Is it? Yeah, I'm messing up the name here, but it's Siler from Heroes. I can't.
That was Zachary Quinto.
That's Zachary Quinto.
I saw his name in the credits when it ended, and I was thinking, where was Zachary Quinto in this episode? I don't remember that. Oh, okay, the flashbacks.
So that just means we're gonna have more of that, because they're not gonna hire Zachary Quinto to lay down on the floor.
Yeah, I didn't expect Zachary Quinto to show up in the show as already being dead in a flashback. It's like, that's kind of an odd use of like a high-profile actor like him.
He was Hannibal's patient and then Bedelia's patient.
Yeah.
And then he attacked Bedelia, and she defended herself and killed him.
And I'm guessing Hannibal was behind that attack.
Oh, for sure.
For sure, yeah.
Is there any kind of act of violence like that he's not somehow behind? I mean, it's always seems to be the case, but yeah. It's oh wow, his mind fuckery with Bedelia is it's up there with what he was doing to Will Graham last season.
Oh, yeah.
I loved she had that quiet moment in the bath, and she slipped in, and it was like she was slipping into oil. It was just dark, and then she like was kind of envisioning herself like sinking deep beneath the surface. And I like how that just kind of represented how she felt, that she was sinking deep into this muck.
And also that's another thing that showed us so well is those dream sequences.
Oh yeah,
like this show's ability to present like such vivid dreamlike imagery is like, that's another thing that it does like so well, and it's so amazing.
And this wasn't even a Will Graham episode. Usually that's reserved for Will Graham's trippy hallucinations and
yeah. Will Graham isn't there to have trippy hallucinations, so we gotta offload that on somebody else now.
It's pretty amazing all throughout, but yeah, his mindfuckery with Bedelia was pretty stunning. I loved his comment when he ended up killing the guy from the beginning of the episode, and he was talking to Bedelia, and he said, when you invited, he said, are you participating or observing? And she said, observing. And he said, you created this situation. You invited him over. You created the situation which in this is going to happen. Did you imagine it would play out any differently than it is? And she said, no. And he said, then you are participating.
Yes. You are participating. I like how Hannibal killed that professor. Oh, the beginning, I was like, that was so great. Where Hannibal kills this professor off screen. We don't see it. But then he's inside this guy's house eating him when his wife walks in. And he says,
Bonsoir.
Oh, call me casual. It was, it's like, that was great.
Yeah, a lot of great stuff in this episode. Oh, geez, it's just so amazing. Yeah, I loved his line to Bedelia. Bedelia, what have you gotten yourself into? That's what we're all thinking.
That's what we're all thinking, yeah. What have you gotten yourself into?
Another great shot in this episode, when he was doing the lecture, and he was talking about Dante.
Yes.
And they had the portrait of Lucifer, and it matched up over his face. Just like he was looking kind of to the side, and then he looked straight forward, and it lined up perfectly over his face.
You could say, I mean, it's fair to say now that they're not just hinting at it; they're overtly like pushing this idea that Hannibal is Satan.
Yeah,
you know, it's not even like vaguely hinted at this point. It just is.
Yeah, he is Satan in all but name.
Yes, exactly.
Supernatural ability, I guess.
Supernatural abilities, yeah. Although I don't know, his ability of mindfuckery is almost supernatural.
His elaborate mind palaces and
elaborate mind palaces.
Which is interesting seeing, because that came up last season when Hannibal was talking about his mind palace, and we had that just in the last season of Sherlock as well, where they were talking about mind palaces.
They ripped that off from Hannibal.
It's the era of mind palaces.
Mind palaces.
We're going to hear everybody talking about their mind palaces now.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah. Do you have anything else to talk about with this episode? Anything specific you want to go over?
Not really. I thought wasn't there like there, maybe I misinterpreted it. Well, wasn't there like a part where Bedelia was trying to escape? Like she ran out, she was trying to get on the train.
I don't think so.
I don't know if she was like trying to escape or.
I think she's kind of questioning her position.
Yeah.
She's got a kind of a complex position because it's not like she's there by force, but it's not like she's not. You know,
Right.
She's kind of like, her reasoning for being there is layered. It's deeply layered. There's a part of her that's fascinated that wants to understand, like how Hannibal thinks and what makes him tick. There's part of her that wants to understand this darkness within herself, and she thinks that by being next to Hannibal, she's going to observe that. She's going to understand that. And then there's a part of her that's just a terrified rabbit that just wants to get the hell out of there.
Yeah. Before Hannibal turns and does something to her, which I feel is inevitable.
Yeah. But greatness again. Still waiting for the episode 3. You got episode 2 to look forward to.
Yeah.
And we'll do a discussion on that with Will Graham's debut back into the series.
Woo, Will Graham, he survived.
And so you'll learn a little bit more about that situation. They're still stubbornly playing their cards close to their chest as far as what happened in the season finale.
I mean, even though as shocking as it was, I knew Will Graham was going to come out the other end okay. I mean, you can't do an adaptation of Red Dragon without Will Graham. You know, that would.
And they don't have the rights to Clarice. So.
And they don't have the rights to Clarice, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see the aftermath of the season finale, to see Will Graham, you know, how he came out of it, how that's affected him. Who lived? Who died? I don't know. I'm excited.
We're heading deep into Red Dragon territory this season, and that includes the Red Dragon himself, who has been cast. He's being played by the guy who played Thorin Oakenshield in the Hobbit movies.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Is playing the Red Dragon. That's a role that Ralph Fiennes played in the movie Red Dragon.
Yeah.
I don't remember who played him in Manhunter.
See, I can go on IMDb real quick and.
But yeah, it is exciting as always to watch Hannibal. It's beautifully shot, beautifully put together. As always, we're interested in our viewers and readers' opinions on Hannibal. Do you watch Hannibal? If you don't, why not?
Tom Noonan played him in Manhunter.
Okay. I have no idea who that is, but
yeah, really.
But send us your comments. Post in the comment section on the website, on our YouTube channel, anywhere that you can get in contact with us. Do so. Let's talk about Hannibal. That's what we want to do. Game of Thrones, we've been doing discussions of. We've done the first 9 episodes of the season. We have 1 left. There's a Sunday. And so we'll be putting up our impressions somewhere between Monday and Tuesday, whenever it gets up, on the last episode of the season for Game of Thrones. You can already tell what we're doing after that. We're doing Hannibal, because we're already doing it.
Yeah. Hannibal.
So, look forward to more.
Hannibal is like a 13-episode season, right?
I think so, yeah. So this is what we're going to be talking about for the next 13 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, so stay tuned. Stick with us. Watch our impressions. Watch Hannibal. Just if nothing else, watch Hannibal. If you're not watching Hannibal, watch Hannibal.
it needs the ratings. Sadly,
Yeah.
the ratings are pathetic, and it's depressing because this is brilliant stuff.
So that's about it. That's what we're gonna say for now. We'll talk about episode 2 next time. We should be doing that sometime this weekend. That'll be it. See y'all later. Bye.
Bye.